What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Look, I was over here preparing for another amazing episode, but look, I need you guys to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell so that you guys don't miss any of our amazing conversations. Have a new episode coming to you in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Guess what, guys? I am back with another amazing conversation with an amazing person who is doing so many amazing things in this world, Mr. Orlando Hopson. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
We finally made it happen. Now, look, let me tell you, this man has one of the most packed schedules in life, and he adjusted that schedule to make sure that he was here today. So look, I appreciate you for doing that. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
How's everything been going?
Everything is well, man. No complaints.
Okay.
All is well.
This man has been doing some amazing things since I met him. There are a lot of amazing things coming up. Hopefully we'll get into those today. But in the meantime, do me a favor and tell the people a little bit about who you are.
So I'm Orlando Hopson, born and raised Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to Dallas about 6 years ago. Lived in Dallas for 5 years. That's where I met my partner. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I've been here for a year now.
You hear that? That's like the watered down version. Who is Orlando?
It's a good question. I guess it depends on who you ask. If
Okay.
you ask me, I'm a regular guy, man. I'm a simple guy. I love to connect people, and I love serving people. That's what I'll tell you.
Okay. So with that being said, this man does so many amazing things. Like, I thought I was the connector. Like, this guy is literally the connector. So the way I was trying to figure it out today exactly how I was introduced to you. So the way I was introduced to you is you were working with Rashad Lambert. And Rashad Lambert is?
The former senior vice president of Forbes magazine.
Yes. So we were curating an interview between myself, Rashad, with the Quintessential Gentleman. So I had to go through you in order to make that happen. So, of course, through phone conversation, we got to know each other a little bit more and found out, oh, this guy's from Cleveland. So anybody that's from Cleveland, like, I automatically feel like I'm connected to. And then, the conversation just picked up, and here we are today. And this is like, a little brother that I didn't know that the world was going to bless me with. So in addition to working with Rashad, you do executive protection. You're running around the world, running around Atlanta, making things happen. So what are some of those things that you have going on?
So he did this to this cup because this is my hemp company. So I am in the cannabis industry as an owner. Only 1% of Black people are in cannabis. And
Cannabis.
I'm honored to be a part of it. And so I acquired the company probably about 7 months ago.
Okay.
I also, do hospitality. So I had a guest service and experience for a restaurateur here. He owns about 5 different restaurants in the city. So I help do day-to-day management and making sure everybody's good, staff's good, and making sure we get VIPs in and make sure they're taken care of. Take care of my wife and my daughter, and just kind of, I like to stay out of the way. I come outside when I need to come outside and go home when I need to be at home.
But he's always outside because he's always running back and forth from the airport. Like, every time I'm talking to this guy, oh yeah, I just landed in such and such. Oh, I'm on my way from such and such. Like, when did your life become like this? Like, I know, growing up in Cleveland, moving to Texas, sometimes you don't know what your life is going to look like. Yeah, but out of 30 days in a month, you may be home 6. True. Like, did you ever envision that for your life?
I actually did.
Okay.
I did. So, just backstory. So before I moved to Dallas, I was in school full time. I had a full ride scholarship to Baldwin University. I was in school.
To where?
Baldwin University. It's a PWI in Berea.
Oh, see, I thought you said Bone Wash University. Now I know about Baldwin Wallace. Yeah, I had some times up there.
All right. So, and And so I was traveling with my brother, who's a gospel recording artist. He's written for everybody. I've been traveling with him since I don't even know. Like I was serving him before anybody knew who he was nationally. He was a keyboard player at our church. He was, worship leader, and I would travel with him from church to church. And God just told me to do it, so I stayed with it. And then, like I said, I fast forward. I go to college. He moves from Cleveland to Dallas. Okay. He's been there for probably about a year or so at this time. But we have been traveling. So while I'm in college, I'm leaving. Like, I'm in school Monday through Friday. Friday, I'm hopping on a plane. I'm gone. Friday to Sunday night, coming home, going back to school. Like, every weekend I'm on the road. And one day, somebody asked me, like, oh, so you live in Dallas too? And I was like, no. I'm like, I live in Ohio. And they were like, so literally we were on the road probably 3 weeks consecutively, and somebody at every place asked me. We were in different cities like LA, New York, Chicago. One time we were in Canada, and somebody asked me the same thing. And then this lady's older black lady, I would never forget it, walked up to me and said, "You need to move to Dallas. I don't know what you're waiting for."
Oh wow!
And I was like, okay, so I was like, I'm gonna pray on it. But my brother overheard the lady, and he just kind of gave me the look.
Like he probably already told you.
Yeah, like people have been telling me. And so I finally prayed. I was like, well, let me pray for myself, right? Like, I don't want to take somebody else's, like, I need to know for myself. And so I prayed, and God told me to leave. I left winter semester. Like, I told my roommate, like, yo, at the end of the semester, I'm gone. And he was like, okay. And now my roommate didn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in God. And, but one of my best friends still to this day.
Wow.
And he got to see my life and like my relationship through my lifestyle, right? And so now he has questions. He's kind of he's changing for the better, right? And understanding like there is something bigger than us and things like that. So told him I was leaving. I'm telling all my friends. All my friends like, all right, whatever. You coming back, whatever. He leaves to go to class and comes back and says, I'm going to pay for your one-way ticket. I said, cool. I'm on one-way ticket in that moment. I boxed up all my stuff. Told my dad to send it to me. I left. Semester rolled around to come back. Everybody was texting and calling me. Where you at? I'm in Dallas. I thought I was playing. And I moved to Dallas with my brother, 2 friends who were like sisters to me. And those are the only people I knew in that city. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow. See, I never knew that. First of all, let's rewind because you mentioned the church.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the church.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. Essentially, now, how do you feel that well, aside from, the connection with your brother and then eventually moving to Dallas and then meeting your wife and then moving to Atlanta, but how did the church shape who you would become?
So I started off just like serving, right? And as an armor bearer, and that kind of helped me to that's kind of where my heart is.
What's an armor bearer? For the people who are unfamiliar with the church, now I know the ushers, I know the flowers. Oh no, flower bearers are at weddings. Yeah.
Okay, so armor bearer in biblical terms is, or what was called like a cup bearer and things like that, which is somebody who will serve the man of God. So they are the person, like their right hand. So they're carrying their towel, their water, their Bible, things of that nature, making sure like...
You were an armor bearer.
Yeah, so I was an armor bearer for a nice amount of time. Essentially, that is the core of all of my roles.
That's what I was just about. I was sitting here thinking about what you were and are to Rashad and every other thing that I've heard that you're into. That is essentially, yes.
Yeah, that's just who I am. I love to serve people. I love to help and make their lives easier and make sure they're good. And so an armor bearer, essentially to a cupbearer in the Bible, is a cupbearer would drink the drink before the king did. So that way if it was poisonous, they would get the poison before the king did. And so essentially an armor bearer is the first protection layer, right? So you can get through other people, but before you get to the man, before you get to the person, you have to go through me to get there.
I have so many questions. And the reason why I have these questions is because, so for me, my grandmother, My father's mother, she passed when I was 6 years old. So in '93, she passed away. But prior to her dying, all I remember of her is her always calling me Peter. My name is LaQuinte Pierre. There is no Peter, but Peter is the English version of Pierre, which is my middle name.
Yeah.
So she never called me any of my names. She called me Peter. Okay, so in the Bible, Peter being the rock, kept everything together, everyone together. She was speaking something over me that I didn't understand. But it wasn't until I got older and I started hearing the stories about this. And then I just dug a little deeper and I'm like, whoa, this woman that I only knew for 6 years of my life spoke something in me that would follow me through the next 30 years.
That would be the foundation.
When it comes to family relationships, when it comes to friend relationships, I often am the one that tries to be at the core to keep everybody together, to keep everything together. When it comes to some of the family I have down here, the friendships I have down here, I'm the one that's at the core of everything, the rock of a lot of the relationships. So me saying that, I want to know, was there somebody that you felt spoke that very thing over your life that would end up following you, through the majority of your life?
That specific thing, no. But I remember when I left to go overseas in high school and came back, my pastor at the time said to me, the prodigal son has returned. And essentially, I kind of knew that story, but I hadn't really read it, right? And so I went back to read it, and I was like, it talked about, so if you know that story, the prodigal son returns, is the father is going to die. And the father says, I'm going to give you all what your inheritance is. And one of them stays and, takes care of the father. The other one goes and does whatever he wants with his money. At the end of the money, he is literally laying around in a pig pen. But he's royalty. And he finally comes home, and when his dad sees him coming, he goes to him and put a robe on him, and he takes his shoes off and gives him slippers and all this thing. And they say the prodigal son has returned. And one of the sons has an issue, right? He's like, I was here, right?
Yeah.
And I stayed with you. I helped with the land. I whatever. And the other one went off and did whatever. And you still treated him when he came home like he was still royalty. And I agreed and I disagreed with his statement to call me that, right? Because essentially I didn't leave to go. My pastor didn't give me something, right? He didn't give me something to take to the world, and I just kind of squandered it. But I understand that what he was trying to say, I think at the time, was that we're glad that you're back. You are still family. You are still loved and things like that. But there are power in words. There are people who have always told me I've had a servant's heart. That's just who I am essentially as a person. That's just how I live my life. But my grandmother is probably kind of similar story. My grandmother has always called me her prince. I call her now to this day. And she's like, hey, my prince. My wife was she really believes that you are a prince and you can do no wrong, right? And I'm like, it's not, I can't do no wrong, but to her, that's just who I am to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I love it. Now, you've been traveling, doing a lot of things for a very long time. I thought this was something that just started a year ago. But you've been doing it the majority of your adult life.
Absolutely.
Now you're a family man.
I am.
How does that work? You have a child that's growing up, a wife that's there. These are people that you made the commitment to be there for.
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you guys work that whole thing out?
So essentially, when I met my wife, we were friends. Essentially, when we first met, she had my daughter already, and Phoenix was about six or seven when I met her. She's 11 now. So I was already traveling when I met her. She was traveling, right? And then of course pandemic happened. And so we met like before pandemic, but we hadn't gotten together until right before pandemic, which was wild. We were friends. Like when I say friends, we were legit friends. I was out here in these streets. She was out here in these streets, and we were talking about being out here in these streets to each other. Like that's how much friends we were. Like we were homies. Like let me tell you about this trip.
Friends first.
Like legit friends. Like people would be like, y'all not friends. We like, we are. Like that's my homie. Like I can tell her anything. She can tell me anything. And then finally one day we were like, yo, like I like you. Like you know what I mean? Whatever. So
how long did that take?
A year.
Okay.
A legit year. I think. And the funny story is, right, this is how it happened. We had been friends for a year. It came her birthday time, right? We were kind of flirting or whatever right before my birthday. And then right after my birthday, it was her birthday because my birthday is May 7th. Her birthday is June 2nd. So right after my birthday, it was her birthday, and she was going out of town. She was going to Philly for the Roots picnic at the time, and she was like, she had been telling me about the trip. Some guy she was dealing with before me had paid for her to come to Philly, pay for her hotel, pay for her Roots picnic ticket. Like he was flying around that whole time. She gets to Philly, lands, and says, "Hey, I want to know, would you feel away if I went and seen the guy that like flew me out here, or whatever?" And I was like, well, you know what I mean? We're not together, so you can kind of like do what you want, right? But she was like, I'm asking, would you feel away? And I'm like, yeah, but I can't be mad at you because we're not together. She was like, okay, I won't see him. And that's kind of like the turning point for us. That was like the turning point. Because she considered my feelings over just like doing this thing, because like, yeah, we not together. Like I can't go do whatever, right? You can go do whatever, but I'm considering your feelings in this moment when she didn't have to. She could have been like, all right, you're gonna feel away, but I'm gonna go do it anyway because I want to. But she didn't. She didn't go see him. Like she ghosted him. Like the whole night. Like she had a good time with her best friends, and then when she came back, we kind of sat down and had like a conversation about us like actually being together.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, and so our travel schedules, I started traveling a lot more, and she wasn't traveling as much. Now when we moved to Atlanta because she got a new job that moved us here, that put her in a position to travel a lot more. So now we're both on the road a lot. Like she's gone now. She's been gone for almost a week and a half. She'll be gone for another week, and then I'm gone. And so we just kind of like we share a calendar and like find ways to like see each other in those pockets when we can, and be intentional with the time that we have. Like that's really important for us. It's like really being intentional with time. And then when I'm home, I'm home. Like I'm with my family. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going outside unless I really have to go, or I go to the event I need to go to, and I'm out. Like I'm not going to kick it. I'm not going to a club after. I'm not doing none of that. I'm going home to be with my daughter. Like I haven't seen her in 2 weeks, so I want to spend time with her. And she's getting older, right? So she's getting to the point where it's like, Dad, don't hug me, and like, I'm like, girl,
don't embarrass me around my friends.
Yeah, like, but it's like, what I mean? But I get it, right? So, but I gotta appreciate those moments when I can get them, and also exposing her to my life, right? Yeah. So I get to expose her to, the work that I do and the benefits that it affords her at a young age.
You know what? I did see that. I think it was it last summer, last fall, something like that. There was an event here in Atlanta, and she got the opportunity to like interview Coco Jones. Yeah. Like y'all know Coco Jones, the new Hillary Banks on Bel Air. Like, how did that make her feel, and how for you did it feel to be able to include your child in the experience of your work?
It felt amazing, man. Like that was a moment for me. Like, I'm really doing something different here, right? Like, I do the work, right? I'm not a reporter or nothing like that. So when they ask me to do it, I'm like, I'm not doing that. But you know what I mean? I was like, cool, I'm like, my daughter's here. Like, right, we watched the show. So I'm like, it would be really dope if she did this thing. And, I wanted her to do it. She was like, at first she was like, no, I don't want to do it. But between her mom and you, like, she was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And she did it. And then after, she was like, oh my God, I got to like interview Coco Jones. And like, I got photos and videos for her. Then she sent it to like her friends and like that type of stuff. So it made me feel good, man, to know that like my hard work is like really paying off in what I'm doing. I like to be the behind the scenes guy. I like to be the guy behind the people.
It's always the one that knows. You know what? You're kind of like you ever seen The Black Godfather on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
He's like one of the modern Clarence Avon. I'm just now realizing that because we've been a few places, we've had many conversations, and I'm just realizing how he is the puzzle piece connector in a lot of situations, in a lot of industries that you may not even think would like mesh. Like he's the one that's putting things together and making that happen. Like when you sit back, oftentimes we don't get to sit back and sit in who we actually really are and the things we've accomplished. Mm-hmm. But if you have, like, how does that make you feel to know that you that guy?
I think I never look at it like that. I think I always look at it like I want to continue to impact people. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like? And how do I get better? Right? Okay. I think that is really dope to do the thing, right? It's dope to be able to pick up my phone and call somebody to make something happen for somebody. But I'm more about the connecting piece versus notoriety and who knows who I am. If I walk into a restaurant, I don't really need you to know who I am. I like that part of my life, right? I like to be able to go out with my partner and me and her just kind of like chilling and kicking it.
But then when you go to that restaurant and the owner walks up to you and next thing you know, the owner's bringing you bottles and, you know, he's looking out for you, then that's going to make people look at you like,
who is this person?
Who is this person?
But I think for me, like, but even then, like, you've been with me. I'm super low key, right? Yeah. I don't want sparklers. I appreciate
no,
it.
Just bring me my bottle.
Yeah, that's please. It. You know what I mean? I'm grateful, like, but, you know, I still can be normal, right? Mm-hmm. I use this comparison a lot. A lot of people know who Maverick Carter is now, right? If you don't know, look him up. But he is essentially the brains behind all of LeBron's deals outside of basketball. Interrupted, Shot Talk, you know, all the businesses, everything like that. And that's essentially how, like, Maverick Carter can walk down the street and nobody would know him, right? Well, not nobody, but like a lot of people would know him. But if LeBron walked down the street,
you know exactly.
You know who LeBron is, right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't watch basketball, like you've heard the name, you've seen his face, like, you know what I mean? You kind of know him. Maverick Carter, if you know him, it's like, I know him. And so, a funny story is, one of the biggest moments of my life so far, I'll be 26 next Sunday in a week. And so, I was at a hotel in New Orleans recently, last year, and I was staying at the same hotel as Maverick Carter. And Maverick Carter, I'm 25, staying at a hotel that like Maverick Carter stays at. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I was like, this is nuts. Like, I would have never, like, he's somebody I've been watching his whole career. Like, you know what I mean? So to essentially be in the same space as him and to know that, like, I'm here. Like, I'm not here because I didn't work to get here. I'm here because I worked to get here. Yeah. And it was just really cool to be like, I like called Dominique and I was like, yo, like, Maverick Carter is staying at the hotel. She was like, your hotel? And she was in New Orleans at the same time. So we were staying at two different hotels because she was there for work and I was there for work. So the first couple of days we spent together and then I had to go off and, you know, she had to do her thing. But it was just, I was like, yeah. She was like, that's, like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I don't even really know how to feel right now, right? It ain't like I walked up to him, we had a conversation or anything like that. It was just to know, because I know some of the people on his team. So we got to sit down and talk and things like that. And so sometimes I tell people all the time, man, it's not about knowing the person. Sometimes it's about knowing the people that work for the people. Because it essentially is, like Rashad, for instance, right? I use him as an example. A lot of people want to get to him, right? They're like, how do I get to him? How do I get to SVP of Forbes? Like, how do I get an article? How do I get this? Like, how do I, whatever. But it's like, sometimes you just need to know the assistant. Sometimes you need to know the stylist. Sometimes you need to know the chief of staff. Like, you don't need to know. Because the thing is, if I have his ear, he trusts me to put him in front of the right people, right? Or me to give you access to this thing. And I think so many people are like, how do I get to LeBron, right? How do I get to Steph? How do I get to Kevin Hart? How do I get to Oprah? How do I get to Tyler Perry? if you want to get to them and you actually, and from a pure place, get to know their people.
Now, what I want to know for you, how did you become the person that people would eventually have to get to? How did you connect with Rashad? How did you connect with everybody in the hospitality industry, the executive protection, like all of that? How did you position yourself to be in all these different places and spaces?
For executive protection, I just kind of just took my time. Started off as an armor bearer. Excuse me.
And bless you.
Kind of took my time, did my security trainings, and just kind of worked my way up. And then I met my mentor actually when I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
My mentor has worked for one of the greatest voices of the world for the past 20 years.
Anita Baker?
Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Okay. Voice in that way.
Yeah,
Anita Baker,
yeah.
You're still a voice.
And I met him at a conference. He was like, if you need anything, I literally just walked up to him. He was like, if you need anything, just reach out. Next day I reached out, told him, I emailed him. We literally had lunch like the next day. And we talk almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's put me in positions to meet people in the executive protection industry. Then I started, like I said, with my brother, and then from there, word of mouth, right? People started to see me out and see what I could do, and then I started working for a national R&B artist who's written for everybody from Babyface to Casey and JoJo, and all that. And then I've had other clients who are in other industries. As it pertains to like Rashad, I literally was just a member of Forbes the Culture, which is the organization that he founded in 2017 before the partnership in 2019 with Forbes. A lot of people get that confused, so I want to make sure we clear that up. I went to the summit in 2019, which is like, how can I help? So I'm just like moving around whatever he needed, whatever needed to be done for the organization to be at the summit. And then from there, he was like, yo, let's talk. I want to talk to you. I'm like, all right, cool. So next week we get on the phone. He's like, I want you to come work for me. I'm like, cool, sounds good. Started off as a marketing intern. 6 to 8 months later, I was chief of staff. Just because of my attention to detail and how my OCD works and things of that nature. And that just kind of built that. For my brother, I went from his armor bearer to his director of operations, the head of security, for all of his travel and things of that nature. So to get to him, you have to go through me. I like to be that person, but also put me behind that person, right? Like I'm in front of the person essentially, because before you get to them, you have to go through me. But I also don't really want you to know who I am. A lot of people don't know my face, right? Like I think this year I've done more interviews than I've ever done, because I'm just like, I don't want people to really know my face, get familiar with me. But God said something else, and so as people around me, I'm saying that it's time for me to like really, I have a lot of knowledge and understanding that a lot of people need to know in business and things like that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen. And so that's kind of how I built my network of people. Hospitality, same thing. I just built a rapport with with the guy I work for. And so we literally met up one day in Dallas. He was in Dallas. I was like, yo, I'm going to look at some restaurants. I'm like, cool. He invited me out. We went out, and then after that, we kind of talked. I was like, yo, he was like, I want to offer you a job. I'm like, cool. And then it's just what happened. We were moving to Atlanta, so it kind of worked out. And then just kind of building. And I'm very particular with who I work with, because my time is already limited. But I need to know that you value my time, and in order for me to value what you do.
So there are quite a few things that you do, as he just mentioned. Currently, right now, today, there are multiple roles and hats that you wear. Here in Atlanta, most of us do more than one thing. We may go to a 9-to-5 job, but at that 9-to-5 job, we might be typing, for our blog. And then after we leave work, then we're, doing something else. So a lot of us nowadays come with more than one thing under our belt at any given time.
Absolutely.
So for you, how do you give each thing that you're doing its proper amount of love and attention?
I think one thing I'll tell you is understand that true balance is not 50-50. My mentor taught me this a long time ago. True balance, which is his boss, Bishop, taught him this, is true balance is never letting the same thing go negative twice.
Mm.
So the way that essentially, say you're a husband, say you're a father, say you're a businessman, and say you're, a husband, a friend and a sibling, right? If you showed up well everywhere except for as a father on Monday, on Tuesday, don't let it happen. That's true balance, right? Like, because there's no way you only have one tank, right? If I fill my gas up to 100%, right? I have all my miles. If I drive, it's just gonna keep going down. I still only got one tank. I don't have like a tank and a reserve, right? That I would have to go back and fill up
again
in order to, right? So you're pulling from one place, which is fine, but you have to know where. We're also learning what's worth pulling for, right? Essentially, we do a lot of things, but sometimes we're given something that really don't need that much attention, right? In this moment, it's not. You got to prioritize. When you do multiple things, you have to prioritize what's important for today. So that's kind of how I do it. So I look at my week, what do I have to do, if I have to travel, whatever. But the week, I go by day, what's important. What is the priority for Monday? What's the priority for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so on and so forth. And then from there, if something gets added, one of my clients hit me and say, hey, I need to do this, I'm going to prioritize that based off of and I ask them, is this a priority or is this something that I just need to get done? You know what I mean? And then for me, like, I don't work 9 to 5, you know what I mean? So I never essentially have a day off, right? Like, I don't have a day off like other people. I don't have vacation time. Like, I don't have PTO. But when I do have a day off, I still get work done. That, like, you know what I mean, might be little stuff. So I would, like, the way that I balance that out is making sure that I never let the same thing go negative twice. So I make sure I show up for my daughter. I make sure I show up for my partner. I make sure I show up for work, right? If I slack on something and work one day, I make sure I don't slack tomorrow.
Okay. That is a good way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all needed that. Did y'all need that? Because I promise I just needed that. Because there are 4 things that might be going on in my head at any given moment that I need to do. But priority and never I'm for it. So your ultimate goal in life and career, what is that?
To be a recluse.
Oh God. Here we go again. We've had this conversation today and last week.
I'm not playing. I want to essentially get to a point where I'm off of all social media platforms. I got a flip phone. I'm on my farm of 40 to 60 acres.
Just have a lake somewhere. Yeah. When I come, I need to sit around some water.
I want to be able to be home. Call me on my house phone because I'm definitely going to have a landline for sure. I'm bringing those back.
Yeah.
And I just really want to be able to spend time with people I want to spend time with and fund the things I want to fund. There are a lot of projects that I want to fund. And so that's my biggest goal right now. Is putting myself in positions to help fund the projects that I want to fund. There's a big movement going on right now for like trans lives and things of that nature. And so I really want to help fund the project Black Feminist Future and Blacks Really, which is Dominique's organization, to kind of have those comfortable and uncomfortable conversations around, LGBTQ plus rights and things like that. Also around us, right? Black men and what that looks like and how do we actually support each other without hating. Right? Yeah. Like, there's not enough of that, right? There's not enough of us being like, yo, I see what you're doing. How can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I use my network to help you? Even if I don't get nothing. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get $1. Like, no, you need I will push what you're doing, right? Yeah. So I want to be able to fund projects like that. I want to, continue to own a couple businesses, and I just want to be able to do stuff when I want to do it, and then not when I don't. And, travel the world and make sure my daughter lives a great life and make sure my wife is healthy and happy and, whatever partner we include into our life, right? Because essentially we definitely want to have another partner. So see how that goes.
Okay. So what I want to know, everything that you do, how can people support it? Because there's Forbes the Culture, which is now Black Excellence Society.
Absolutely.
There is
Every day.
Get you a little bit of it. Like, how can people support everything you're doing before you Go on social media.
I think you could definitely follow me on social media. If that's just what you're into. Um, you'll read in my bio. It says enjoy the clips.
Oh wow. What's the social media?
It's my name, Orlando_Hopson. I keep it real simple on all platforms.
And it's spelled like it sounds.
Orlando Hopson, Hopson. And yeah, you can follow me there. Outside of that, man, just for me, the way that you can support me is by supporting other Black businesses, supporting other people in your community.
Yeah.
And if you can't support those people, and you're trying to support me, for me, that don't do nothing, right? Like if you go buy my product, yes, I want you to buy my product, right? I think it's a great product. You try it, you know it's a great product.
It laid me out, boy. I took it on a Friday and I didn't get up till Monday.
But essentially, I want to continue to build, that's what Black Excellence Society is about, right? Building Black and brown talent incubator. We are the largest Black and brown talent incubator in the world. We have 15,000 members worldwide.
Wow.
And growing. We're in 12 major cities and 4 countries. And like I said, it used to be formerly known as Forbes the Culture. And so being a part of that, I've been on the team for we're celebrating 6 years in October, so 5 years. And so, supporting communities like that, being a part of communities like that, and like if you have a platform, pushing it. And just, being connected, man. Like me, I'm a real personable person. Like, you hit me, you need something, I'm gonna connect you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nothing in return. Like, you need to be connected with somebody in Atlanta, LA, New York, Paris, like wherever. Like, I can make it happen. I just need to make sure you got the right heart for the contact. If you don't, I can't put my name on you. And I think that's a big thing for people.
Make sure you have the right heart. I love, and apparently you have a big heart because a lot of people come to you. A lot of people trust you. A lot of people have believed in who you are to help get them to where they are.
Absolutely.
So, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. Because that's not always an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
Especially because people don't trust.
That's true.
All the time. But you have many people that have trusted you with many things. And you have not disappointed.
I try not to, man. And I'm human, right? Like, I tell people that from jump. Like, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. But I'm also, I will take accountability for my mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
If I do something that wasn't right or I made a mistake on something, I'll take accountability for it and whatever consequences come. But there are people who won't, right? They're like, oh, it's such and such fault. And this person, no,
Yep.
that was on me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't read that correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write that correctly. I didn't, I make mistakes, man. I am a business owner as well, so I understand that, but also working for people, like, things shift and change. And when you got a lot of things going on, you just got to sometimes quiet the noise, sit back, look at the whole picture, and be like, okay, how can I structure this out? And so you got to take your time. And I think that's a big thing, taking your days to be like, yo, today I'm not doing nothing. And there are days when I literally like, I'm not doing nothing. Dominique will call me, what you doing? Nothing. I'm on the couch watching TV all day. I'm not doing nothing. Phoenix come home from school. She just wants to like lay on the couch with me and watch TV. We will watch TV all day. And she's like, you ain't moved from this spot. No, I haven't. I order food. You know what I mean? Because it's important because I do so much. I'm like you said, I'm always on the road. Like,
you need time.
I'm literally leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm on the road until Juneteenth. Like,
so, damn. Is there anything coming up for Juneteenth?
We might be doing something. We got a couple activations coming up. I got a couple of things going on. Cinco de Mayo is coming up, so doing a partnership.
Yes.
Doing a partnership with Patron.
Okay.
At Niao's in Atlanta. On Cinco de Mayo.
Where is that?
Niao's is downtown, right by the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
What? I know. The New Orleans restaurant.
Yep.
Yes.
So
okay.
We're doing a rooftop there.
I was there for their grand opening.
Yeah, we're doing Love and Culture in Miami coming up on the 17th. So getting ready for that. So it's a lot of things going on. We'll be in LA for Africon, and they have like 5 different stops. The last 2 are in Accra and Nigeria. So that'll be cool at the end of the year. So, like I said, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different things on top of other projects that I have coming up every day. We got a lot of pop-ups and activations going on. And so I'm just taking it one day at a time, man. And when I can not do anything, I'm not doing anything. So.
Well, today is not that day because after you leave here, he has to go finish playing Daddy Day here.
I do.
And yeah, I hear it. And then he has to pack for his trip because guess what? He's going out of town again. So I definitely appreciate you. We finally made this happen. Like I am proud to witness a lot of the things you're accomplishing. You've been doing it before I met you, but just to witness somebody doing so many amazing things, like I love it. So I appreciate you for letting me into your world.
Appreciate you.
And I appreciate you for coming into mine.
Absolutely.
And guys, make sure that you support this man before he disappears from social media and goes to his big farm. Because we all we got. Now we have to support one another, and you know this man is definitely a true supporter. So make sure you guys return the love and support him. And thank you guys for tuning in to another conversation on BLK Talk. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.